everybody. Number one, I just want to thank everybody for being here, just to hear, all of us come forward and speak up against the Providence police and the brutality that they force on our community. So just a brief background, my sister and I were harassed by the Providence police this past November. They came out unannounced and just verbally attacked us and verbally assaulted us. I tried to call 911 in response to what they were doing to us, and when I called them, they told me they had no one else that they could send out to help us in that moment. And so they really left us there feeling vulnerable and defenseless, and like they had taken, some of our personal power away. And honestly, luckily, my roommate came out during that situation and began reporting it, and at that time, obviously, their demeanor completely changed. They were completely calm and approached him, and he is a man, so I think that played a factor. But ultimately, after he explained to my roommate why he was there, because he never explained to us why they came out and harassed us to begin with, they ended up leaving shortly after, just leaving us, again, feeling helpless and vulnerable and not knowing what to do next. And so, immediately after that, I wrote a statement and I reached out to people, and through word of mouth, luckily I was referred to Shauna Curlin. Again, shout out to her. And I decided to go through with reporting against the Providence police and holding them accountable in a hearing, and ultimately we won, and they were found guilty in what they did to us. And so something I really want to stress in doing this is that although what happened to my sister and I wasn't necessarily a physical form of violence, it was still a form of violence against us. And so maybe where a lot of people wouldn't necessarily feel the need to come forward in these situations because we're so used to this happening to us regularly that it becomes the norm, it becomes the police culture, and they think it's okay, and then we begin to think it's okay and we can't challenge it. But even little situations like these where they're harassing us can be challenging, and we can fight back and win against them. And so I hope by telling my story, I would encourage other people who maybe would hesitate to come forward with things like this and report against them and fight back and be part of this community that is fighting back. And so lastly, something I really wanted to mention in coming forward with my story is that, I do feel like it's important for me to shout out the Black Lives Matter movement. Particularly because I am a Black woman, and so for me I feel like this is important to challenge because, well, number one, we understand that police brutality does happen across all races, of course, but it is more commonly happening to Black people, and people of color, and at the disproportionate rates. And we can't ignore this if we want to fight back. We need to address this in order to peel back these layers and understand how to challenge it. And so that's important to me. And in talking about that, it's also important to recognize that when we think of the Black Lives Matter narrative, we normally think about Black cis men, right? And so the stories of Black women go untold or unheard. They don't make mainstream media. And so for me, it was empowering and important to come forward with my story and say, listen, if we're going to talk about this narrative, we need to complete the narrative and include the lives of Black women, include the lives of Black cis women, trans women, queer women, because we're all talk about the lives of all Black people across the gender spectrum if you're going to talk about this narrative. And so, again, if we talk about these things together, regardless of whether you're Black, you're a person of color, a white person, whoever who identify as an ally, when we talk about these things and really address them, we can fight back and do this and we can win. And so I just encourage everybody to speak up, to stand up, and come win with us.